Should we start off with like a sexy voice? Or
Dude, that's up to you. I'm not doing a sexy voice.
hello? No, I'm not doing that. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Million Dollar Media. I'm your host Max Kellerhalls, and with me today we have.
It's me, Emily. If you're like a regular follower, subscriber of this channel, you probably know me as that bitch who's in some of the episodes.
That bitch.
Anyways, let's talk about fucking.
That bitch did make it to 69 episodes of Million Dollar Media. Let's fucking go.
Let's go. We did it. We're almost to 131 episodes.
Yep. We'll get there soon. Probably next year, but we'll get there soon.
Yeah, you better have big fucking plans for it. You did a 69 special.
Yes, we did. We're about to do a 69 special.
Yeah, we are in the process. I would like to take credit for suggesting this topic because I still think it was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be talking about iconic 2000s and 2010 sex comedies.
I have one on here from 2023.
Okay, iconic 2000s. You know what? I'm gonna be so real with you. I forgot it wasn't the 2010s anymore.
It's been a rough couple of years.
Yeah. But at any rate, sex comedies, that bygone genre that we don't get as many of anymore.
You bunch of softies.
Yeah, the woke liberal. No.
That's it, folks. On our 69th episode, we've turned to the right wing mob.
So yeah, let's talk about movies. I'm told you have a list.
Yes, I do. Let's say at the start here, we don't have some of the quote unquote classic movies that you would suspect to be on a list like this. We don't have 40-Year-Old Virgin. We don't have Knocked Up.
We don't have This Is 40.
Nope.
We don't have Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I don't think.
No, we do not. If you want a recent one, we don't have Poor Things, which I'm told is kind of a comedy.
Yeah, I support us not putting that one on the list, TBH. But
all right. So if you're mad that those aren't on here, so too bad. Not much you can do.
Yeah. We're giving them lip service. They're not bad movies.
Mm-hmm. We just have not seen them.
Yes. Well, I've seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I didn't have that much to talk about with it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is a good movie. You can go watch it. Jason Segal's whole hog is in it. It's there. You can go look at it if that's something that you want to do. Yes. We're talking about 10 movies. That's the plan.
Yep. 10 movies. These were our honorable mentions.
Yes.
Now we'll move on.
Whether these are the best or worst 10 movies is up to you, but these are the 10 movies we wanted to talk about, dear viewers. You can direct all hate mail directly to Max's comment section. Yes. I don't read it, so it doesn't affect me.
Let's get this started off with number 10. And at number 10, this is a movie that Emily actually wanted to talk about. I haven't seen it, but she wanted to talk about Waiting, ...
So Waiting. I will be honest, I watched this movie because I saw clips of it on TikTok, and I was like, surely they could not have made an entire movie out of this premise. And they did. So if any of you have spent time in the general vicinity of Kevin Smith movies, most specifically Clerks, Waiting is very similar, but instead of being about clerks at a convenience store, it is about servers at a restaurant. So I want to talk, I'm going to get the criticism out of the way, because this movie's bad. I'm like, straight up, it's bad. It's really interesting to talk about, because I actually think the ending of it is good. It's just like the rest of it sort of sucks. So the primary running joke throughout the movie, to give you a sense of the level of comedy that this movie is on, is that all of the male servers at the restaurant play a game where they try to think of creative ways to trick the other male servers into looking at their dicks. So that they can call them gay, because they are looking at their dicks. And it's got Ryan Reynolds. It's got
now it makes sense.
Yeah, it's got Anna Faris in it. It's got John Francis Daley's in it. Justin Long plays the main character, Dean, who I will talk more about in a bit because I really like him. Mm-hmm. But and Luis Guzman is in it.
Oh, nice.
He plays the cook who also flashes people frequently.
Jesus Christ.
But
this is gonna be fun to find clips for.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of what you would expect of like a sort of raunchy 2000s comedy. I mean, like there's an annoying customer, so the chef like rubs his balls on her food, right? Like they
All right.
flash flash their cocks at each other. But beyond the sort of lowbrow humor, which we'll be talking about more lowbrow humor, and those jokes are there for shock value. There are some really funny jokes, like John Francis Daly's character Mitch is a new server, and it's his first day. That's like part of the plot of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from Dean's stuff, is that it's Mitch's first day on the job, and all the other servers are trying to show him the ropes,
Yeah.
but they never let him speak. He's not able to actually complete a sentence until the end of the movie. Every single time he starts speaking, someone cuts him off.
Nice.
And then in the last scene of the movie, they're all at a party, and they're just like, "So, how did you like your first day, man?" And he starts speaking, and then pauses because he's waiting for someone to cut him off, and then they don't. And he's like, "I fucking hate all of you," and leaves.
That's amazing. I don't know, man. This sounds pretty funny. This sounds pretty good. Like,
It's fun. It's just very like sort of raunchy, whatever 2000s humor. But the
mhm.
part of it that I really like in earnest is the actual plot with Dean, who's the main character played by Justin Long, who is a community college graduate who is now working as a server in this restaurant that they all work at.
Mhm.
And at the beginning of the movie, he is offered the position of assistant manager. So he's like offered this promotion. And so the part of the movie is him debating whether or not he wants to accept this promotion, because while it's a good promotion, he feels like he's essentially trapping himself in this sort of never-ending cycle of
Mm.
continuing to work this awful job if he's willing to accept the promotion. And so it's kind of like success that's like attainable and right there versus actually wanting to do something that he's passionate about, because he
Mhm.
has all these skills. He's like a genuinely very talented person.
Mhm.
And so a lot of the movie is about this character who wants more in life but doesn't know how to get it for himself. And there are a lot of really interesting bits, like during the third act of the movie, which is the dinner rush.
Mhm.
There's like a group of businessmen, and he takes their orders and doesn't write anything down. And they're like, "Well, don't you need to write that down?" And he's like, "Nah, I got it. Mine like a steel trap." And he just sort of knocks on his head, and they're like, "Okay." And then he brings back their food, and it's all completely like perfect. He got all of their orders and modifications right. And the businessman, he's like the sort of head honcho, is like, "Hey, I was really impressed by that. We need kids with good minds like you. I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a call and we could talk about working together." And it hands him his business card, and he's the owner of a steakhouse. And that's and so while the movie
That's
has
amazing.
so like again, there's a lot of bits of the movie that are like that, and then there are jokes that's like Ryan Reynolds' character. I don't want to defame Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds' character in the movie frequently talks about sleeping with a teenager.
Oh, and Monty, just so you know, I'm only a minor for another week. I turn 18 on Wednesday.
Well, then I guess I better hurry up then.
Oh. Oh.
She's their hostess, and she's 17, and
Oh God.
like 51 weeks. She turns 18 next week, and he makes a comment that's like, "Damn, well, I got to get it in now then."
What?
Um, so like I said, Waiting is not exactly a highbrow movie or like the pinnacle of intelligent comedy, but it is fun, and I do genuinely think that Dean as like the emotional heart of that story really works. And also Ryan Reynolds and Justin Long are funny people. They're
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
funny group to have, and John Francis Daly is great, Luis Guzman is great, Anna
Mhm.
Faris is great. And yeah, it's a good time if you want to watch a really dumb, shut your brain off comedy, which I think that there is like a place for that in the sort of grander scheme of cinema.
Oh yeah. Like,
Um,
not everything needs to be high art. It can be fun
yes,
art though. And like a lot of these movies on this list going forward are like they're on here because we find them funny.
yeah.
And
Though
like,
I will defend our number one pick as like a genuinely very, very good movie.
oh yeah, well we'll get to number one, but
Yeah.
yeah.
If you are going to watch Waiting on my tentative recommendation, do be forewarned. This movie was made in a long time ago. It came out in 2005. And the language used in the movie does reflect that. There is quite a bit of homophobic slurs thrown around over the course of this movie.
Yeah,
Um,
I figure.
yeah.
When you were
So,
talking about like the whole Ryan Reynolds subplot, I'm like, wow, that that did not age well.
Hey, Floyd, make sure there's no bacon on the chef salad. It's against your religion, right?
Yes, master. Right away, master. Ain't gonna be no bacon on the salad, master. No bacon. Oh, no, no, oh, no.
Alright, for my number 9, and this is my number 9, we have this movie called Sex Ed. Not to get it misconstrued with the Netflix TV show Sex Education, but this movie, it came out like way before that, probably like in 2013, I want to say.
Damn, I didn't know that Glenn Powell was in movies that long ago.
Right?
That's crazy.
If this audio does sound a bit weird, ladies and gentlemen, it's because we had to insert a new segment in.
Yes, so the segment we had here previously was not great, and we were like, we should talk about this movie instead.
Yeah, at least this one has like actors. Well, there was one actor in the previous movie we talked about that we know and love, but this one was just like, holy shit, Glenn Powell's in this?
So I've never seen this movie. I didn't know it existed until you texted me about it like 10 minutes ago. So
yeah, to be fair, like I don't just remember sex comedies like off the whim. So I was just like, oh, all right, I remember this one, and this didn't show up. So I was like, all right, it just completely forgot about it. But then I remembered it. I was like, oh, that's right. This movie is about Haley Joel Osment plays like a struggling teacher who can't find a job. He doesn't really have any specific thing he wants to teach. He just wants to teach. And the only position that he can find is in this low-income community, helping kids in this after-school kind of thing. It's pretty much detention for these struggling students. And one day, one of the kids experiences her period for the first time, and she doesn't know anything about it. She's very confused, and he's just like, don't you guys like have like a sex education program here? And she's like, no. And he finds out that this is a very like Christian school, like it's private school, so they don't really talk about that stuff.
Interesting.
And since it's like this is a low income school, like all the kids are pretty much finding out about this stuff via just their friends. So they're all learning the wrong things, like how people get pregnant, how people contract STDs. So he decides to take this after school class and make it a sex education class. And
okay,
here's the catch though. The teacher himself is a virgin. So he's trying to teach kids about sex, but he's a very dweeby, nerdy kind of guy who's not very confident, very socially awkward, but he just loves to teach. And
you know what? That's oddly heartwarming.
It is, and that's why I definitely chose this film over the one that I was going to put in this video, because I was just like, oh yeah, I remember liking this film. Again, to be fair, this is also another one of those like white guy teachers comes into a low-income community.
Sure, yeah. The there's like an episode of South Park where that happens that my mind immediately jumps to.
Yes, but I feel like the message is not about like it's not like
it's not racialized.
It not really. I mean, there's a little bit of like the white guy comes into a Hispanic community, but the fun thing about it is they actually poke fun at him for being that white guy in a Hispanic community. Plus, on top of him just being like a really dweeby guy, never had sex or anything like that. So he's being cultured, pretty much. And it's fun seeing him get cultured. Haley Joel Osment does a great job playing this character. It's one of the roles that I kind of enjoy him as. That's not him as like a kid actor. Like, yeah, this is a role that like could have been given to anybody, but he brings this level of like innocence to it that's just really nice to see. And I think he does a really good job in the role that he's given. You can see him as a really cool like substitute teacher.
Sure. Yeah, I believe that.
You also got Lorenza Izzo, who is an actress that you may have seen in a bunch of like Eli Roth films. Like she's in Knock Knock.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Just that's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
But she plays like the love interest in this film, and it's really interesting. But what I really respect about the film is that unlike most sex comedies where like the whole point at the end of the film is to get laid, the message at this film is pretty much like, don't rush it. Because if you try to rush it, things are just going to go wrong and things are just going to go bad. It's self-destructive at that point. There's a moment where like the main character could go forward with this, but he's just like, you're drunk. You're not acting right. You're just doing this to get back at your boyfriend. I don't want any of it. And he just straight up says like, no.
It's kind of great. You're really selling me on this movie.
And yeah, And I watched this like when this came out like 2014. I didn't see it like when it came out initially. I saw it like years later on Netflix, and it just really like took me aback because I was just like, holy shit, a movie like this that's actually adult about the situation. Because again, like the film is about like trying to teach these kids about sex education and the do's and don'ts, about consent, about protection, just general sexual health within women as well. Because again, like a lot of these, especially nowadays when we're looking at stuff like Project 2025. Yeah, I'm getting political. I don't give a shit.
You heard it here first, folks. This video is now officially more political than our Civil War review. You can go watch.
Yes, it is.
Link in the description.
But I'm just saying, like, just how important sex education is to, like,
100%.
Like it just in general, just for like the health and safety of just children in general. And this film is a big proponent of that. And I don't know. I mean, like, I don't remember any specific jokes in the film. It's not like a laugh out loud comedy. Like the situations are kind of ridiculous in some moments with like Glenn Powell's character in particular. Glenn Powell's character is the main character's roommate. Like he pretty much plays every like Chris Evans character like was in like the early 2000s, where he's like this big jockey dude, but like who just fucks his girlfriend anywhere and like fucks his girlfriend on the main character's bed when he's not there. He's just like, what the fuck, man?
Excellent.
But
so Glenn Powell just plays a dude who fucks. That's
pretty
what I'm
much.
Hearing.
But here's the thing that I do like about what they do with that character is that since he's more experienced than the main character, he says like, why don't you come with me to one of these classes and we have your girlfriend be there and you guys discuss how to properly, like, how you would want to date someone and get their consent. And it's a really interesting thing because like you can really make that character out to be really douchey, but he's so totally down for it because he's like, well, yeah, I do this all the time, and I really like this girl that I met recently, and like she's down for it too. And so they basically just they don't do the Monty Python thing and like reenact sex. They basically just have them sit across from each other and just discuss like how consent and stuff would work.
Fair. That's again, you're really selling me on this movie. Now I feel bad that we're only putting it at number 9.
It's just only at number 9 because it's not as memorable as most films, and like the comedy isn't as strong as most films. I just think like this film just has like a good emotional core that's stronger than the comedy.
Yeah, which I mean we've talked about that, and we'll go on to talk about in this video how much that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
yeah.
No, yeah, that's kind of it regarding like this film. I don't really have much else to say other than just like if it's still on Netflix, go give it a watch. Like definitely check it out. Yeah. All right, we can move on to number 8,
which is
Chasing Amy. All right, before we say like I think you don't like this film, I love this film.
Okay, I like this movie. It is a movie that I have never been able to convince myself to rewatch simply because of how horrible watching that ending is.
It's a very bleak ending.
It is. Like, legitimately.
However, since this is a View Askew Universe Kevin Smith movie, they do tie up the ending of this film in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
I'm sure they do. I'm not watching that.
That's totally fair. But they managed to make the overall story of Holden. I think that's his name, the character's name.
Sure.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
The only happy ending Ben Affleck gets. They at least like tie up that character in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot in a really interesting way and kind of connect it back to Chasing Amy. It's probably the only part of that film that makes me go, you know what? I like this movie. Like, I adore Kevin Smith. Like,
I also love Kevin Smith, and I respect this movie more than I like it, which I said earlier, but like, this is a movie that I really appreciated when I watched it. I was like, I get what this is going for. I think it's very well done. I think it's very funny. It's well written. The Black Rage sequence is maybe one of the funniest things Kevin Smith has ever done.
So funny. Should we say the plot of this film before we like move on?
It's old. People can Google it.
I'll just say the basic premise is a straight guy falls for a lesbian.
Yes.
That's pretty much, that is the elevator pitch that I believe even Kevin Smith might have even pitched it as.
Yes. But The thing about it is it's the ending is so traumatizingly bleak that I just can never bring myself to go back to it because it's so awful to watch the last 15 minutes of this movie. It makes me want to peel my skin off watching that last conversation.
I think that's what makes me like it, because especially like going through a lot of like messy, not breakups, but just like a lot of messy, like awkward ass situations like that. Maybe not me dating a lesbian or anything like that, but at least just like really weird like misunderstandings that I could kind of put myself in the main character's shoes where I'm like, yeah, man, I I'm right there with you.
Yeah. It's crazy though, because he comes off as such a shitheel. And
Yeah.
it like, I mean, and by design, right? Like, he's not supposed to be like a good person. I mean, the premise is that he finds out she's a lesbian and is like still going after her.
Yeah.
So like,
and then like it does have a lot of that like early Kevin Smith like the same conversation that's in like Clerks about like, oh, she blew like 38 guys and like
right.
finger cuffs and stuff like that in this film. Is she still worth dating and stuff like that? I'm like, and to me, I'm just like, dude, just she's with you.
Yeah.
Get over it.
No, that is kind of a hallmark of a lot of Kevin Smith's early work.
Early work, yeah, but I don't know. I enjoy this film a lot, and it's probably my favorite Kevin Smith film, right next to Dogma.
That's fair. I am a Clerks girl through and through.
That's fair. Clerks is good.
But I do like this movie. I respect this movie more than I like it. It's not like a pleasant viewing experience, but it's funny in the moments where it wants to be funny, and I do think the serious portions of the movie do work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're so uncomfortable, and it makes it so difficult to like go back to, especially because it has that hallmark of all early Kevin Smith stuff where there's like, okay, man, I don't think you needed to say that about like women, but
yeah. But what I can say is it feels natural in that sense of like these guys would say that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like this was a particular time in these guys' lives, in the director's life. He's directly poking fun at this kind of mentality. I mean, like the whole Janet Silent Bob cameo in this film. Like it's probably my favorite like cameo of them in any of their work. Like I love that monologue that Kevin Smith gives.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I just like the homegrown small town feel of a lot of the films, and I feel like this film kind of nails that feel while also being a film.
Yeah.
Like Clerks feels like that is just like run and gun guerrilla filmmaking at its core, and it's great because of it.
Yeah.
But this actually feels more like this has some money behind it, an actual story.
Yeah. I mean, I love Clerks, but it intentionally doesn't have a story.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I love Chasing Amy, and I will always say that it's my favorite Kevin Smith film, even though I think we do have another one on this list.
I believe that is true. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Is there anything you want to say about Chasing Amy before we wrap it up?
It's a good movie to watch once. That's my take. I loved the first time watching it. I don't think there will be a second time watching it, but I really enjoyed the first go.
That's fair. All right. Number 7, I believe, is your pick.
Okay, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, because we had to have at least one movie on here that wasn't rated R.
For the kids.
So, to give you the basic plot synopsis of Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, I want to pull up IMDb's plot summary because summarize it better than I can. But Michael Cera and Kat Dennings are in this movie.
Yep.
Essentially, they both play these characters who are like indie music fans in New York in like the 2000s, to give you a sense of the vibe that this movie is going for.
Michael Cera playing an indie music fan? Shocker.
I know. But Kat Dennings playing an indie music fan actually is sort of outside of her normal vibe.
Okay.
But at any rate, the premise of it is that both of they share a favorite band. Like both of them are huge fans of this band, and they're playing a secret show somewhere in the city. And so they meet at the beginning of the night, and then their collective friend groups like whisk them away from each other. And so they spend the rest of the night looking for each other again. But their exes, each one of them has like an ex that's causing problems for them that night. So it's Michael Cera in a movie about exes causing problems.
I was just about to say, like, hold on, wait.
Yes, but
I was just joking earlier.
The raunchy humor, despite it being PG-13, is really funny.
Really?
So, like, Kat Dennings' character, part of her characterization, Nora, is that she's never had an orgasm.
Oh.
Um, and they joke about the fact that her ex-boyfriend, who plays a role in this movie, could never give her an orgasm.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the movie, Michael Cera does give her an orgasm, which is a really funny thing.
All right.
Has happened in a PG-13 movie. Is she finally comes to the end of the movie?
That, you know what? That is the one. I'm like, that's not that funny. But the more you point out that it's a PG-13 movie, I'm like, okay, did they just like not pay attention to like what the overall like running joke of the film is, and like the ratings board was just like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, beyond that, I think the other part of it, and this is like a bit gross, so gross warning if you want to skip ahead like a minute.
Oh no.
There is a running joke throughout the movie. One of the characters in the very beginning of the movie starts chewing a piece of gum.
Oh no.
And that gum goes on its own little subplot adventure throughout the movie. Like, it winds up on the floor of someone's van at one point.
Oh my god.
It like ends up in like a sewer. It gets washed like up a drain, and then at the very end of the movie, when Kat Dennings and Michael Cera finally hook up, I believe she is like, "Oh shit, gum," and starts chewing it before he like fingers her.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. I'm not even grossed out. I'm like, all right, I guess kind of saw that joke coming, but the way you just blatantly said that, I'm like, yeah, PG-13.
Yeah, it's shockingly raunchy for a PG-13 movie, but it's so much fun, and it's such good like indie rom-com vibes.
Oh, okay. Now you got me.
Yeah, it's raunchy indie rom-com with Michael Cera and Kat Dennings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just wandering around the city doing little subplots, looking for the show, and they, you know, meet back up at the end of the movie, and it's very sweet, very heartwarming, got a lot of good dirty jokes in it, and I just really like those two lead actors. Like, they're both funny, charismatic people.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember, like, I know Kat Dennings, but I'm like, who?
She's in Two Broke Girls. She's some of the Thor movies.
Yeah, okay. I know her for two reasons. Let's just say that.
Max.
Hey, I'm allowed to be pervy. Who's with me, audience?
This video is going to get like 30 views for trying to rally the audience around boobs. Put boobs in the thumbnail. People will click.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's the old algorithm. But at any rate, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, I wanted to put a movie on here that is still a raunchy comedy while not being like super dirty or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it has the sweet 2000s indie rom-com vibes that I think were some of the best vibes that movies could have for the time.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's just a sweet 90-minute raunchy little rom-com, and I highly recommend watching it. The gum joke is gross, so if you are sensitive to gross thing happening, like my mother is, be prepared. It's a little bit of a gross out joke here and there, but
all right,
still a great time.
But if we're gonna talk about gross out jokes, we still got the next film to talk about. All right, do you want to move on to number 6?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, at number 6 we have Zach and Miri Make a Porno.
Let's go. First appearance of Seth Rogen in this list, I think.
Yep.
It will not be the last.
No, it will not.
If there is anyone who I would proclaim the like goat of adult like R-rated comedies, it might be Seth Rogen. And this movie is one of the reasons why.
Oh yeah. It's weird because this is a Kevin Smith film. Like, he's back again in this list. But it feels like a Judd Apatow comedy.
It does.
Which is so strange to me because I'm like, those two are very... they're similar in some ways, but very different in other ways. So to see this weird middle ground between the both of them, I'm like, huh. It's like Judd Apatow comedy style in a Kevin Smith film.
Yeah. Which is great because Judd Apatow is hilarious, despite us not putting any movies he directed on this list.
Yeah.
Like, he's a very funny guy.
Yeah. The basic plot of this film is that Zach and Miri, Seth Rogen, and Elizabeth Banks, they've been friends for a long time, but they still hate each other.
Right.
They're about to lose their apartment, so they're like, how the hell are we going to do this? So they go to their high school reunion, and they meet one of their old classmates who turns out to be a gay porn star. Played by Justin Long.
Oh, right, I forgot Justin Long is in this movie.
Yep. And Brandon Routh, Superman.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's a Kevin Smith film. And then they basically decide, why don't we just make our own porn film? What I like about this is it feels like it has like that Kevin Smith small town feel.
Definitely.
But again, with the Judd Apatow style comedy, it's also kind of like a Judd Apatow style story, which we'll see this throughout multiple movies on this list of like everything works out fine, and then once we get into the third act, the main characters hate each other, and then they find a way to like work together at the end.
Right. Again, we will see this. We will see this formula recycled for a few more movies on this list.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, Judd Apatow is at least directly involved in one of those movies.
True, but it is pretty funny. Just like, oh yeah, that's gonna be the plot of most of these films. I don't know. It's very funny when they're trying to like make the Star Wars parody.
Yes,
That's funny.
That's like a classic Kevin Smith bit.
Oh yeah, and then like all of it just gets ruined.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Fuck, I guess we gotta use this coffee shop." And yeah, like when you actually get into the scenes, they're not like graphic. Well, one involves shit, and I
had forgotten about that, but now I'm remembering.
Yeah. I'm not gonna show that. I can't show that.
I don't think you should.
Besides that one really gross out moment, but then again, it's also one of the things that just like happens on those kind of sets that you're just like,
right.
So I'm like, at least they kind of addressed it. But like, I think like the chemistry between our leads really works in this film, and you buy them getting together at the end in their own little weird way.
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of what makes... Okay, I know he wasn't involved in this movie. I'm aware of that. That is part of what makes the Judd Apatow formula so sweet, is that genuinely most of his characters have really good chemistry with each other and like come off like they actually like each other. And I think combined with Kevin Smith's ability to write effective like drama, I think it comes together really, really well in this film.
Just his dialogue is always some of my favorite stuff about Kevin Smith. He could just make two...
I mean, that's the reason you watch Kevin Smith movies.
He can make two characters talking about fucking anything, and it's the most entertaining thing ever. Like, if he made this one little short film called The Flying Car, and it's just Dante and Randall in a car.
Speaking of Randall, I do want to say that Randall's scenes in the original Clerks movie are like the peak of Kevin Smith dialogue.
Oh, yeah. But
making him like really racist in Clerks 2 was a choice, but...
That was interesting. But I will say, the Craig Robinson steals the show in this film. Like, I love the bit with him at the coffee shop.
Excuse me, can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Really funny.
Yeah, I mean, Craig Ferguson is great in like 95% of things that he's in. He's just a very funny guy. He was one of the only funny parts of Hot Tub Time Machine. True story.
Nice. You know what? For as raunchy and as crude and the subject matter is, the film is really sweet.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue, like I said earlier, that is true of most sex comedies. Most sex comedies are at their best when there is an emotional and like genuinely sweet component to them. Mm-hmm. And I think going forward on this list, I think barring one, all of the following movies actually do have a component like that.
Okay, well, let's move on to number 5.
Excellent.
At number 5, we have 40 Days and 40 Nights. This is also a film...
I know nothing about this movie.
It is a early 2000s Josh Hartnett film.
Okay.
The plot is basically this guy who just got out of a very messy relationship, or like a very messy breakup. Nothing's really working for him anymore. He's hooking up and he's just like, it's just not... Nothing's really working for me. And Lent is coming up, and his brother is I want to say like a missionary or something like that, but wannabe pastor.
Okay.
And he's like, Lent's coming up, what are you going to give up? And he's like, you know what? I'm going to give up everything sexual. Like, no jerking off, no sex, not like none of that, nothing.
Okay.
And then everybody's like, okay, yeah, sure. You're not going to win, but good luck. So, and he's like, yeah, perfect. I'm going to do this no matter what. No problem at all. First, the night he makes this deal, he meets this really sweet girl at a laundromat, and they really hit off. And he's just like, fuck. Every side character around him trying to put him in situations where he's going to bust, literally.
Oh my God.
So like they're like, I forgot the context of the scene entirely, but there's a part where like a girl kind of like seduces him like in a copier room.
Okay.
There's that bit in this. Like his ex-girlfriend hears about this and tries to do stuff like get him to, just like
Right.
his...
The one thing I did some quick reading on this movie before we started the episode. I am told the ending is very controversial on that note.
Oh yeah, yes. Keep in mind, I did watch this film when, like, I wasn't as like socially conscious of like, like I was just like, it's a movie, it's just that ain't real. But the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that's a bit controversial.
Yeah, that was not a popular choice, so I'm told.
No, it's nothing involving the two like romantic leads in this film.
Right.
It's involving someone who is his ex, who has been said throughout the film to be a really kind of bad person. So I don't even think the film is trying to say this is right, but it does.
No, I don't think the film's endorsing it.
No, it definitely comes across as a little tone deaf of like, is this meant to be like a comedic situation? Because this just seems like something else.
Yeah.
However, controversy aside, I do think that the main relationship between these two people is what really carries this film for me. It's really sweet. Like, there is a non-sex sex scene.
Okay.
That just, I was like, you know what? That's kind of hot. I was like, that's really clever, and it's a really interesting way. I'm like, no way I can pull it off, but Josh Hartnett, good for you.
You know what? When you find someone who matches your freaking life, you just got to go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this looks like a fun movie.
Yeah, controversy aside, which I could totally understand. And again, a lot of these films on this list are like, not everything works. But I think it also nails like the friendship dynamic of like, if one of your friends is like trying to do something to like better, like, I don't know, just trying to do something, just them kind of fucking with him. It's just kind of,
sure.
At first it comes off as just lighthearted nudging. It's, I don't know, just the overall like nature of the film is just kind of interesting. I mean, I really enjoyed the film, and like, I'm glad to see Josh Hartnett back.
Is he doing something new?
Yeah, he's in Trap, which you can watch my review here.
Oh, true. Shameless plug. I didn't watch that movie, but shameless plug.
Yes, I'm not ashamed. You set me up really well for that.
I did.
All right, you ready to move on?
Yes. Let's do it.
At number 4, we have the classic American Pie.
Man, I've been rewatching How I Met Your Mother recently, and what a shift of roles for Allison Hannigan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Who did she play again?
She plays the band kid.
Okay, I was just about to ask. Like, that is a crazy ongoing joke.
Yes.
Great punchline, though. I'll give it that.
Yeah. And again, this is a movie that I think is at its best because it's just full up of funny people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there are just so many good comedians in this movie that I think it makes it work even through the cringier moments.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, the pie scene is pretty funny.
Yeah. But
is this also the movie with Shannon Elizabeth?
I think so.
The transfer student?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Man, they kind of like screwed her over.
Yeah.
Like, this seems a bit weird. Because it's like this mix of like, damn. Like, damn. But then you're also like, she's being filmed without her knowing. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? Boner gone.
Yeah, that's just never a good situation.
Yeah. However, the Stifler's mom joke at the end is pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's also the only film that I believe Tara Reid is good in.
Really?
Dude.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, just, I don't, Sharknado, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. Hey, she was in Days of Our Lives.
Okay.
Oh shit, Natasha Lyonne is also in this movie.
No, yeah, I like a lot of the actors that are in this. Jason Biggs. I kind of wish that a lot of these actors have kind of just, are now in like a cable TV shows or had their own sitcoms. Like, I know Jason Biggs has his own sitcom. I don't know if it's still on. I know one of the actors, he played a villain in one of the seasons of The Flash. But yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Eugene Levy went on to be in Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, well, it's fucking Eugene Levy.
Yeah. Allison Hannigan was starring well on How I Met Your Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Biggs had his own sitcom. Natasha Lyonne has had a majorly successful career.
Mm-hmm.
Tara Reid was in all 6 Sharknado movies.
So, needless to say, very successful careers all around.
Yeah.
But back to this film, I think what it just nails is just like the overall like. Well, I can't say it's like the vibe of like what teenagers are like now, because this is definitely a 90s. This is a 90s film.
Yeah, 100%.
This is 90s comedy. If you can allow yourself to just kind of like put yourself back in that time period, even though I wasn't alive, you can enjoy this film.
Yeah.
And
I would agree.
I think it's also the film that coined the term MILF.
I'm double checking that, but I think you're right. Yes, correct.
And I think it was by John Cho.
Dude, I took some MILF.
What the hell's that?
MILF. Mom, I'd like to fuck.
Yeah, dude.
Oh. Yes, it was popularized
Yes.
by this movie, but it existed before that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say like I think this was the film that like blew it up into the stratosphere, and now has
Yes.
its own category.
Man, you're feral today.
Yep.
You can't stop, huh?
Nope. Unless you tell me to. Just want to make that very clear.
Max respects consent.
Yes. I actually do. That is not a joke. You ready to move on?
Sure.
Okay.
American Pie's a good movie. You can watch it if you want to.
Yeah. This is the most recent film that has come out, like in general, that is on this list. And I think it's worth like people actually going out and seeing. Bottoms.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
This is another movie where I've only seen parts of it because all my friends really liked it and they've shown me scenes from it, but I've never sat down to watch the whole thing. However, I really love Rachel Sennett and I really love Io Edebiri. So
yes. Both
fantastic actresses. The "You got faggot number 1 this time" scene cracks me the fuck up.
Okay, I'm just gonna say what the plot is real quick. 2 lesbians who aren't together, they're just friends, are trying to basically hook up with whoever they can. I don't know if it's their senior year, and they decide to make a fight club, or as they say, a self-defense club, but it's really just a fight club.
Right.
And they make the fight club, but it's really just one person's idea that the other one just kind of goes along with to hook up with girls.
Yeah.
And this movie's so fucking funny. Like, no one sold this movie to me the right way.
Yeah?
Like, I was just like, I don't know if I really want to watch this. It doesn't really... I don't know if it'll speak to me in any way. I don't think I'll get the humor. No. This movie's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I've been given the Heathers comparison.
I haven't seen Heathers, but okay.
What? Huh?
Yeah, I haven't seen Heathers.
What do you mean you haven't seen Heathers?
I haven't seen Heathers.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, we said at the beginning of this video how much things I haven't seen.
Max!
Okay, can we get back to Bottoms?
Yes, but also, we should do like a retro review on Heathers just so I can make you watch it.
Okay. You're hosting, though.
Sure.
All right. Audience, before you back me up on boobs, do you want to see a review of Heathers?
I don't care about what the audience wants. The audience for this is me.
All right. This film reminds me of like the Anchorman films.
Okay. Elaborate.
In that it is a really surreal, wacky world filled with ridiculous characters.
Yeah.
Anchorman has this really violent angle to it that just kind of comes out of nowhere.
True. The like newscaster battle royale scene from the end of Anchorman 2 is like a classic.
Oh, it's so good. But there's no like cameos and stuff like that in this film, but it is definitely like this weird, like, they are not trying to be realistic at all.
Right.
It's not like surrealist in like your Poor Things or like your really A24 kind of sense. It's surrealist in a way of just like the settings and plot structure are very much like other films, but they just take it in such a weird degree. Like, one of my favorite, like, it's not really a joke. In the classroom, there's just a football player in a cage in the background.
Oh.
They don't make any reference to it until later in the film, but it's just kind of there, and I'm like, why the fuck is there a kid in a cage? Oh man, the football players are so funny in this.
I believe it.
They are overacting and having so much fun, just mugging and really playing to the camera and to like the audience and making just the whole thing just super wacky and weird, which makes like the main, like all the women in the film feel more real because everybody, all the boys are just like fucking
So over the top.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny, and it's just like, and you like the relationship between the main two as friends, and it's one of those films where it's just like, it has a lie revealed story, which I'm not a big fan of, but if that's the worst thing about this film is still really funny. Like, the self-defense club scenes are really funny because it's just like, just these high school girls of all different kinds of cliques just beating the shit out of each other.
Sure.
And like, it's the first time in a film, and I can't believe I'm saying this, where I can look at a woman's bruised face and not feel sad, and I could be like, oh no, that's they're wearing it around like a badge of honor.
Right. I believe it.
It's a weird feeling, but it's just kind of like, oh, okay, it's this weird like thing they all can like bond over, and like they use it for like, it's self-defense class, even though they like don't really teach that much self-defense. It's just mostly like, all right, wrestle.
Yeah.
Wrestle and punch each other in the face. Yeah.
We've seen movies like that, like with parts of Fight Club. Admittedly, Fight Club has more stuff going on, but like, it's funny when we see like men fighting as companionship, and then it's cool to like recontextualize that with women and not make it like a sad or upsetting thing.
No, and it doesn't come across as just like in a cat fight kind of way where it's just like, oh, these two bitchy chicks. No, it's just like they're all friends just having fun, trying to learn better from each other. Even though there is this intent of like the two leads want to hook up with these two other characters. But then again, Ayo Edebiri, I think that's her name.
Yeah, Ayo Edebiri.
Ayo Edebiri. Her relationship with her crush is so like sweet, and it's played very sincere in this really goofy film, and that's kind of what makes this film work for me. Where it could get as weird as it wants, but it still has this core of like someone has a crush on another person, and you want to see that be fulfilled, and you could be of any orientation and get that feeling.
Definitely.
I also say Marshawn Lynch is fucking hilarious in this film. Like,
I forgot he's in this movie.
The way like, his delivery is just really funny, and like they show some they show blooper reel at the end, and he was just like going off.
Yeah, I believe it.
Like, I think this film has probably my favorite joke I've heard in a long time.
Is this about the time I said Amelia Earhart was a fake hero? Many a guys fly planes without crashing, but you never hear about them.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy shit.
Ayo Edebiri is a wonderful actress and a wonderful human being. She's so funny.
Oh, dude.
If you like
her Letterboxd reviews.
Yes.
No, yeah, I got to see The Bear, especially since I live in Greater Chicago area. But she killed it as April in the recent Ninja Turtles movie. And I also got to give a big shout out to Rachel Senow. Or Senoy?
Oh, Senate.
Senate. Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, I watched the credits of this film. She produced and wrote the film.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was like, damn, like, big hats off to her in this film as well. Just gotta say that, like, I know, like, Ayo Edebiri is the hot thing, and just, like, she's so good, and I'm not saying anything against her. I just want to give big credit to, like, someone who put in a lot of effort into that film.
Yeah. Rachel Sennett is also a great actress. It's so funny because the joke one of my friends and I used to make was that despite not being Jewish or gay, most of the characters she plays are either Jewish or gay or both. However, she is in fact bisexual. That is real.
Okay.
So that's technically not stolen valor, but it is funny to joke.
It's like a Venn diagram. It's still kind of in there.
I wouldn't say so. I just think it's funny to comment on because she was also in Shiva Baby, which I've heard is very good. But that is a movie where she plays a Jewish character despite not being Jewish at all. People just assume she is.
We're going to move on to our second film out of our top 10 list, which is really just a list of 10 at this point.
Yep. It's just a list of movies we like. This isn't ordered.
Yeah. Comedy's subjective, but this film's fucking hilarious. Super bad.
One of the best movies ever made. Hands down,
good.
one of the best movies ever made. We were talking earlier about how Judd Apatow characters usually have such a good relationship that really means something by the end of the movie.
Mhm.
And I think Seth and Evan in this movie actually fall into that despite not being a romantic relationship.
I agree. This reminds me of a relationship that I have with one of my friends, actually multiple friends of mine, that have even been on this channel, of just someone who's just like speaks their mind and whatever they want to say, and it's just the funniest shit you've ever heard.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, this film is it's just so funny. Like joke after joke after joke.
And they all hit. And I mean, we've been talking about how good of an ensemble cast movies have had.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a single person in this movie who is not fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michael Cera and Jonah Hill are both great.
Yeah.
I think Jonah Hill's probably not a stellar person, but he's really good in this movie. Seth Rogen and Bill Hader, two of the funniest motherfuckers ever.
Yeah.
Right? Like, bar none.
That whole subplot is so funny to me. And I love
fucking McLovin.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. I have seen people just just like normal people who are not film fans carry around the McLovin ID card.
Yeah.
Just for
so
shits and
iconic
giggles.
for a reason.
It's just so funny. Like the whole bit afterwards.
Oh, they let you pick any name you want when you get down there.
And you landed on McLovin.
Yeah, I was between that and Muhammad.
Why the fuck would it be between that or Muhammad?
Muhammad is the most commonly used name on Earth. Read a fucking book for once.
What is his name? Christopher Mintz-Bleck or something like that?
Yeah.
He's so good. Especially like the roles after this movie, like he was Red Mist and Kick-Ass and stuff like that. Like he's just a completely different person in this film.
Yeah.
And it's just so perfectly casted. Oh man, he's just so funny.
And he fucks at the end of the movie.
Yes!
And that's the best writing choice that any movie has ever made, IMO.
Yes.
Like, the fact that McLovin fucks but Seth and Evan don't, perfect ending to this movie.
Yeah. I mean, they'd still kind of get like a little bit of a possibility where it's just like Emma Stone and the other girl.
I know that Evan's girlfriend is named Becca.
But they get their little mall scene at the end, implying like, this may work. But no, McLovin, man. Dude, there's a scene that I love knowing the behind the scenes knowledge of it, where like Bill Hader walks in on McLovin. He's just so disappointed. He's like, come on, man, why'd you do that? And to find out that originally he was supposed to play it like really loud and like, why the fuck you do that to us, man? And the fact that Bill Hader was like, why don't I just play it like I was actually really hurt and just really saddened by it?
Scene in the movie, and we shot it early, where Slater busts into a house party and McLovin is having sex with a girl, and I played it in a way for comedy. I played it big and over the top, and I was jealous, but I played it for comedy, meaning like, what are you doing? You da-da-da. After a couple of takes of that, Greg came over to me and he went, this guy's your best friend, and he just ran out on you. And I went, okay, got it. And then that's the take that's in the movie where I'm like, why'd you do that? Like, why would you run off like that, man? Like, why'd you do that? And it just became infinitely funnier. I remember I started doing that, and the boom started shaking because the boom guy started laughing. Like, everyone started laughing because it was, like, just so real.
I don't know. There's also just a lot of scenarios in this film that don't seem too outlandish.
No, I mean, it's a very realistic movie because, I mean, it was written by teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
Yeah. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg wrote this movie when they were the age of the characters. I believe the original intention was that they would play Seth and Evan as themselves, but obviously they aged out of that before the movie got made.
Yeah.
But you can really tell just how much of this is informed by like real life experience. And I actually think, despite the movie's raunchy nature, it carries a lot of really valuable lessons for people in that age demographic.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think you can extract a lot of good morals out of this movie.
Just curious,
which is weird to say.
Which one would you say?
The biggest thing is about being honest with yourself and your friends, right? Like, the reason Seth and Evan's friendship doesn't work is because neither of them is willing to be honest with the other. Seth is never willing to be honest with Evan about how much he cares about him, and Evan isn't willing to be honest about wanting to lead his own life. And I think part of that is Evan doesn't really want to admit to himself that he wants to do things beyond be friends with Seth, because he likes Seth. He wants to have that friendship, but I think he also wants more and doesn't know how to have that conversation. And they're only able to get into relationships and actually have a stable friendship when they admit to each other that they care about each other, but that Evan is also willing to admit that he wants to do other things in life. Right. Like I do genuinely think that the way that friendship plays out is so meaningful because it's about being honest and being yourself. And at an age where a lot of people try to be someone they're not in order to impress the people around them or to appease the people around them, I think this movie having the message that the only way to move through life is to be honest with the people you care about is good.
Nice. Wow. I was not expecting that. Like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm always thinking about this film about being funny, haha, but now you're right. It is very, like, there's a lot to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of what encapsulates the brilliance of this movie, is that it simultaneously is hilarious. Like, it's such a funny movie, but there is a very real emotional core to it. There's a very real message that the movie wants to communicate. And I mean, I watched this movie in high school and it was transformative. And, you know, I've shown this movie to other people and they're like, I wish I had seen this in high school, because I feel like I would have made better decisions.
I think I would have taken the wrong message out of this film. Okay, so what you're saying is I gotta get arrested.
Jesus.
I'm glad that year's the smarter one.
Why do you keep me on the show if not to add additional brain cells?
We went from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
And now we're going from 2 to 1.
Oh my God. That was a good one. That was a good joke. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, number 1. Crazy Stupid Love.
What a movie.
So good.
It's so good.
Like, I saw this film on the airplane. And I was
That's the way to watch it.
Well, no, I was just so moved. I was like, oh man, I love this. Just so funny. It's heartwarming. That's what I gotta say. It's very heartwarming. Main plot is just Steve Carell and Julianne Moore divorce, and Steve Carell goes to Ryan Gosling, and basically Ryan Gosling tries to help him not mature, but just kind of like be more confident, have more charisma, so that he could get back out there in the dating scene. And there's a bunch of other plots that are going on in this film as well.
Right.
With Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, man, top 2. Good for her. Steve Carell's son has a crush on his babysitter, but the babysitter has a crush on Steve Carell.
Can I just say, on that note, the climax of this movie
is
funny. Maybe one of the best executed scenes in any comedy film ever.
So funny. And it works so well.
I have never seen a movie so intricately tie together all of its subplots in one go in a way that gets the laugh.
I love the reaction of both characters in that moment. Just like, no, not him. No, that's not your dad. You're not dating him. No, go back.
That guy as well.
What I like about his character too is at first he kind of comes across as a bit of a chauvinist.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know if I'm gonna really like this guy, but as soon as like he meets Emma Stone, like they're just firing it on all cylinders of just chemistry and just overall charisma and just, I don't know, man. It was just like perfect, just the way they act together and just the relationship that you buy that like, oh no, I like this guy now and I can see why he would change for this person.
Yeah.
And it's a complete reverse of like what's going on with Steve Carell's character, which at the end of the day, you can make that character and his overall goal a bit more like a prick, but it seems like he plays it in a way where it doesn't seem like he's doing this just to have sex with other people. It's just he's doing this more out of grief, out of just the fact that his relationship with his wife is just in shambles, and he just kind of wants to feel like he has something worth fighting for and like he can be loved kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it works, and it just like he plays in such a really smart way that it doesn't come across as being a dick.
No. This is a movie that does such a delicate balancing act because by rights, like half the cast of this movie should be awful.
Yeah.
But you love all of them by the end. They're all so endemically likable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just magical. It is a magical movie.
Mm-hmm. Like the whole subplot of like the babysitter having a crush on the dad thing, that could go very wrong.
Yeah.
And the girl's dad.
Oh my God.
Which is all funnier because he plays the supposed Zodiac killer in Zodiac, so it just makes it all the more funny to me. Just so well done. Like Julianne Moore is great, Steve Carell's great, Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
I love the part he's just like, he just kind of shows up. Hey, how's it going? And then they just punch him.
Just gets immediately decked in the face.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
what a beautiful, wonderful, crazy movie.
Mhm.
If you're gonna watch any movie on this list, I actually fully believe it should be this one.
I agree. It's raunchy enough to be on this list, but it's
Yeah.
also heartwarming enough to be like a genuinely fun watch for pretty much everyone. I mean, again, comedy is always going to be subjective, but I think like the story in this film, again, is just so well told that like it could be for anybody.
Yeah, and I think while comedy is subjective, the climax of this movie, that last scene, comedy is objective for about 2 minutes and 40 seconds towards the end of this movie. I have never seen a single person not laugh at that sequence.
Yeah, true.
All right, well, I think that's all. It's all our movies.
Mm-hmm. We lasted a good while, so you know it's good. Yes, I was trying to make a hidden joke there.
Yeah, it wasn't very hidden. It was a very obvious joke, actually.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway from this episode is two things. Sex is funny.
Yes.
And we're doing a Heather's episode.
The two things
It's happening.
Two things I take away. Left one, right one.
Okay, so like and subscribe if you want to hear more of our show. Don't subscribe to our Patreon if you don't want to hear Max talk about Kat Dennings' boobs, because he'll do it. So if you do want to hear that, you can subscribe to our Patreon. Post about it on Twitter and Facebook. Tell your friends. I was here for the 69th episode of $1 Million Media.
It's all downhill from here.
No, we'll get to 100, and then it's all downhill.
Yep. I'm just amazed we got to 69. Honestly, that is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't think we'd make it to 20.
Yeah. No, it's all of a ride. Thank you to all our loyal listeners who tune into these videos.
I guess what I can say for upcoming videos is that we're going to be doing more of like a recap of stuff that has come out, especially like in the TV show scene. X Marathon took up a lot of time this summer, so we're going to be covering a lot of things that we missed. So expect reviews of like The Sympathizer, Shogun, Blink Twice, and Fly Me to the Moon, and a Channing Tatum special.
Sure.
What else?
There's going to be a Heather's episode coming out, so watch for that. I'm not letting Max get out of this one. I will be hosting that episode, so for all of you who, for some reason, if you are interested in hearing me host, you can also watch our Monkey Man review, plug.
Yeah, that's all I got to say. I mean, I had a fun time with this.
Yeah, this was a fun episode.
Yeah, I thought this could have gone really bad.
It could have gone really bad. It went pretty well. I think we were actually pretty respectful.
Well,
okay, I was pretty respectful.
All right.
I only said balls twice.
All right. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.